That's a clown question, bro.
Hi, what's up on you?
So I'm gonna kick some dirt.
He gets on base.
Just a bit outside.
I'm not the type of player that's going to be Johnny Hustle.
If you don't want me to watch the ball, you can go get it out of the ocean.
And welcome to the show to be named later, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I am your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I'm doing good. As soon as you started recording, someone in this building just started playing like the loudest speaker I've ever heard. I could like feel I don't know what floor they're on. They're not on my floor, but I feel the vibrations from the room right now.
Wow. I mean, some, remembrances of floor 2 Massasoit last year. But
Correct.
that's tough.
So this
to hear.
might even be on that. This honestly might be on that. This is this is not good right now.
Yeah, I
can feel my eardrum like being affected on a different floor.
Never understood the let everybody know what you're hearing type music playing.
No, if you listen to this, do not be that person. It's not worth it. No one's gonna like you.
Yeah, unless like your entire floor is like, yeah, you gotta put on the music really loud. Then I kind of get it. But if you just on your own do it, you're not going to be well liked, I think.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Yeah, you can't be that. Can't be like that. You know, it's not, I don't know what to compare it to. It's just
it's not okay.
It's the guy who like grunts extra loud in the gym. It's not necessary. You don't need that.
Yeah, no.
Just breathe out of your mouth. So, anyway, back to baseball. Baseball news. Some unfortunate baseball news going around this past week. Tom Seaver, legendary pitcher, died at the age of 75 due to complications from what you said was dementia and COVID-19. I mean, dementia
Correct.
is definitely going to take a toll. And when you add COVID, it's a bad combination. And, obviously should be honored as one of the best to ever do it from the rubber. Unfortunate news, but hey, it's tough situation.
So Tom Seaver is, whatever way you look at it, the greatest player in New York Mets history. He spent 12 years over there, had a 2.57 ERA in over 3,000 innings pitched, only 2,400 hits allowed, 25,000 strikeouts, or 2,500 strikeouts, and that's just in his 12 years with the Mets. That doesn't count his 6 years in Cincinnati, 3 years with the White Sox, and his brief stint with the Boston Red Sox. This guy was a legend. He pitched extremely well in the postseason too. He won a World Series with the Mets in 1969, had a 3 ERA in that World Series in 15 innings pitched, got a win as well. This is obviously a very unfortunate loss for the baseball community, for the New York Mets community, the Cincinnati Reds, the White Sox, the Red Sox, and really everyone that he was able to bring into his life. He led the league in strikeouts 5 times. He led the league in ERA 3 times. He led in wins 3 times, winning percentage once, ERA plus 3 times, FIP 4 times, WHIP 3 times, hits per 9 3 times, strikeouts per 9 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, as well as strikeout to walk ratio 3 times. He also won 3 Cy Youngs. He was the Rookie of the Year winner in 1967. Yes, for 1967. A 3-time ERA leader, as I mentioned, and also a 12-time All-Star. Legendary pitcher. He is also 11th all-time on the pitcher F-WAR rankings, and he is 18th all-time on the all-time win list. So no question about it, one of the greatest pitchers to ever live has passed away at the age of 75 due to dementia and COVID.
Yeah, and he's got a laundry list of accomplishments. He was both a strikeout machine and a guy who could prevent runs. And I imagine anyone anyone who saw him pitch live, that was an experience to remember. He's a guy who can strike people out as well as prevent runs at an elite level. But that's today we would see that as a Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer type guy.
Not only
AKA
that,
the best in baseball.
not only that, but Chris, when he went into the Hall of Fame in 1992, obviously he got in first ballot, but he got 98.8% of the votes, which is very, very impressive for 1992. He set the voting percentage record at the time. It stood for over 20 years until Ken Griffey Jr. broke it. And as much as we sort of rag on this, like getting that percentage says a lot about you as a player, of course, but it also says a lot about you as a person. He was a class act. He was a guy that you wanted to be around, whether it was in a baseball setting or just anywhere. And he will be missed.
Yeah, it's definitely, that is a good point, that it does say about who you are as a person, how, I guess you treated the media, because, let's be honest, the best guys, the best people who are, Hall of Fame caliber will get an advantage with the writers, and that definitely shows, because Tom Seaver was one of the greatest pitchers of all time, and then when you add the fact that he was probably a very good person, that gets you that top spot for 20 years. Unbelievable. But yeah, so I don't remember ever really seeing him on television growing up, like in the stands or something. I'm not sure how much of a stronghold. When the last time he had like a stronghold in the baseball world, but definitely someone that you will miss. Some other things happening in New York, some, I guess, negative news, but some beef going on between the top two teams in the American League East. The Tampa Bay Rays and the New York Yankees are having throwing some baseballs at each other. It's a very interesting war going on right now between the Rays and the Yankees.
Well, it's mostly Aroldis Chapman. I mean, that was the one instance that really sparked everything, where he threw, I think was it 98 miles an hour or something like that at Mike Brosso's head, just barely missed him. And I'm assuming this wasn't intentional, but I mean, headhunting is never okay. Like that's not, if you're gonna hit someone, you hit him in the back, you hit him in the rib, or maybe not the ribs, but you hit him in the back. You hit him somewhere where it won't hurt, but it'll send a message if that's what you're trying to do. Going for the head is never okay, and Chapman ended up receiving a 3-game suspension for this, which he appealed because he pitched just about an hour ago and gave up the game-tying home run to J.D. Davis. So I guess that's a bit of karma. And also, Kevin Cash came out after the game and said, like, if they're gonna do anything, like, we got a bunch of guys that throw 98, so like we can do it too. That got him suspended for 1 game. And Aaron Boone, why did Aaron Boone get suspended for a game? What did he do?
I guess the implication is that he incited some of this. From what I watched, I was watching the broadcast. I think it was Monday night. I was watching the broadcast, and there was they showed some highlights of some maybe questionable, like, high and tight pitches that the Rays threw at Yankees, but that's probably just lack of command or lack of control, if anything.
Half the Rays pitching staff is on the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, especially relievers. Relievers don't have as much command, so a few high and tight pitches is going to happen. We saw this with Joe Kelly. Joe Kelly has a tough time with controlling the baseball, so you never really know what's intentional and what's not. But the Aroldis Chapman thing, that definitely seemed intentional. He's not even that much of a he's not that wild, and throwing. You could see the intention behind that, and 3 games. I mean, I would, if I were the commissioner, I would push it at least 5 games, but I don't know. It's kind of weird to see.
Yeah, I mean, it is strange that Joe Kelly got 8 games and Chapman got 3. Did Joe Kelly go for the head? I think he may have.
I think they had him. I think the one they might have had the most problem with was Alex Bregman, because it was a fastball and it was behind his head, but it was like 12 feet behind his head. I don't. It was weird.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to Joe Kelly getting suspended, period, but 8 games, it seems a little extreme, especially if you're going to give Chapman 3 for essentially the same thing. The difference is the team that they were playing, because Manfred already addressed that you're not allowed to throw at the Astros, but they can't get suspended for cheating their way to a World Series.
Yeah, with as more and more details come out about this, and like the 3-game suspension is it definitely says something about the Joe Kelly suspension. I mean, more than twice as much as the punishment was more than twice as much as Aroldis Chapman's for pretty much doing the exact same thing. Who are you trying to protect here? It's ridiculous. I don't understand. I know there was a warning, but man, how can you not relate to anyone going against the Astros? And if anything, the punishment should be the exact same, and we shouldn't be having this conversation. But I guess in this weird,
and not only that, but they doubled down.
Yeah,
they doubled down when Trevor Bauer tried to wear the Joe Kelly cleats.
Exactly. It's been a whole saga the entire year. It's incredible.
So anyway.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the next night. This would have been Wednesday. Mike Brasso, in his first at bat, hits a home run against Jordan Montgomery to give the Rays a 4-0 lead. Perfect revenge. And then he comes back up again later in the game, and he gets a second home run. So I mean, good for Mike Brasso. Like he got his revenge. He got to put his name out there for a night, which was very cool, obviously. And the Rays are 5 games up in the division now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. We predicted good things for the Rays. We both predicted American League champions for the Tampa Bay Rays. But even me, who had them winning the division and the World Series, I did not see anything like this coming. I did not see a 26-12 record. I mean, and to add to
with all their pitchers gone.
Yeah, a lot of injuries. Yanni Trinos, Charlie Morton, Oliver Drake, Nick Anderson, Colin Chaz Rowe.
Yeah. The list goes on.
And not the deepest lineup, but guys like Rousseau are able to get it done. They have very good secondary players, and they have a lot of good depth, but they just keep finding ways to get it done. And I mean, they're kind of a fun team, and being an enemy of the Yankees is going to win a lot of national baseball fans' hearts.
Exactly, especially if you're not a Yankee fan. And I mean, so I guess that leads to my next point. Realistically, what do you think of the chances of the Yankees coming back and win and even making a run and or winning the AL East?
Winning the AL East now, I would put it at I would put it at an 8% chance of it happening.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's
I was gonna say 15% chance.
Yeah, they have, I think, 23, 24 more games to play, and also they're not gonna rush players back, because there's really no incentive in winning the division this year, which is a real interesting thing. But for 2020, I accept those conditions. But
one thing there is to note is the Yankees obviously lost tonight to the Mets. If Toronto beats Boston tonight, the Yankees are in the 8th seed in the playoffs. Or at least, okay, I'm sorry. Let me reword that. Toronto has to beat Boston by, I believe it's at least 6 runs to put them ahead of the Yankees in run differential, because coming into tonight, the Yankees had a plus 20 and the Blue Jays had a plus 14. The Yankees lost by 2, so that means they're at – okay, so Toronto has to win by 5. Toronto has to win by 5 runs against the Red Sox, and if that happens tonight, the Yankees are in the 8th seed of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So if you're the Yankees, you do have to you do. I mean, you mentioned not rushing back the injured players. The Judges and the Stantons and the Torreses of the world. Except I believe Glaber is coming back this weekend. But you gotta wake up your bats a little more, or your pitching, because Garrett Cole has obviously gotten lit up his last couple games. I believe he leads the majors in home runs given up. Jordan Montgomery looked very bad in his start on Wednesday. Tanaka's looked pretty good, and also Devi Garcia looked good in his debut, so that's certainly encouraging. But the team as a whole is not really doing well as a unit, and you need that to be better.
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees right now, they seem like they're in May, when in a regular season where, you're about 40 games through your season, you're kind of stumbling and you're waiting to get hot. That's where I kind of view the Yankees at right now. This is probably a low point in their season. I think they will rise back up. I think that's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they've lost 10 of their last 14. You can't assume that this is just the norm. They are going to finish. Listen, the Yankees are going to be in the playoffs. They're probably going to finish second, if not first in the division. I think the only question is in a setting where the first round is only a best of 3. So, teams are going to rely heavily on pitching. How much do you trust the Yankees in a 3-game set with their pitching staff? Because you're going to have Garrett Cole game 1, Tanaka game 2. And who do you feel comfortable putting out there for game 3? Because the trade deadline's up. They can't get anyone else. They got what they got. Do you put Devi Garcia out there if he continues to perform after 4 major league starts? Do you put Montgomery out there in a potential game 3? Do you put J. Happ in there in a game 3? I mean, what do you really feel comfortable with, especially if you're going up against the Rays, the Indians, the A's, all these teams that have, deep lineups and very good pitching?
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably have to ride some type of hot hand. Although I would say that they have gotten by. I mean, I know there have never been 3-game series, but they have kind of gotten by with the starting pitching they've had before because they've had an excellent offense and also an excellent bullpen that's been able to kind of carry them through some series. Hasn't been able to get them to the World Series yet, which could change. But I mean, a 3-game series, we've never seen anything like this in baseball.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could definitely play a factor. That's for sure.
The one thing, I mean, people forget that the Yankees started 16-6. They were the best team in baseball at the start of the season. And it is easy to forget that in such a shortened season, given, when a quarter of your season is dropping 10 of 14 games. So you definitely can get caught up in that. But I think a lot of people through this stretch are forgetting, when the Yankees are healthy, they are a very good team and they can make a World Series run. That is not out of the picture at all. Yeah,
the only issues for the Yankees, at least in the past probably 3 years, maybe, probably 3 years is your health first, and then maybe your starting pitching, and that's been the issues this year. It's been health, and it's been starting pitching, and starting pitching has been a problem partly because of bad health. Luis Severino, James Paxton being out, and yeah, that's been an issue. It's been a recurring issue. You don't really know how they can get healthy, but I mean, you have to kind of rely on who you've got so far, and hope you can get those guys back in the playoffs.
Yeah, those guys, they're not winning a World Series with Tyler Wade as their starting shortstop.
Yeah, it would be hard. It would be hard to do that, especially when
you don't want Mike Ford as your DH. No offense.
Yeah, especially when you've got so much talent. I think the American League is a lot better than it was last year with, new blood with the White Sox. And I think that Oakland Athletics have improved a little bit. And, you'll probably have both the Twins and the Indians in the playoffs, which you couldn't get last year. And those are two of the most talented teams in baseball. So,
I kind of like the expanded playoff, Chris. There is so much chaos right now. If you go look at the NL playoff picture, the New York Mets are 2 games behind the Rockies, or 1.5 games, I think, behind the Rockies for the 8 seed. And the Reds, Brewers, and Giants are all ahead of them as well. Like, this is legitimately anyone's game except for the Diamondbacks, the Nationals, and the Pirates.
Yeah, it really is anyone's game. And before the season, I didn't really expect I certainly didn't expect any of my last place picks to like maybe be in the playoff picture. Like, I thought the Giants were going to be dead last, an old team that
Half game out.
yeah, I thought they were going to be an old team that was uninspired and was just going to be terrible, maybe go like 20-40 this year. Yeah, now they're a half game out of a playoff spot, which is absolutely insane to think about.
This is kind of fun. Like, we still have another month of this, Chris. Like, this is just going to be a chaotic month of baseball with playoff implications, and I am here for it.
Yeah, it's definitely like the 60-game season. I think fans are a little more passionate this year with baseball. You know, even
You don't have to commit as much. Like, it's you save all your energy over 9 months after the Nationals win the World Series, and then everything comes out from July to October.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully you can still go back to a 162-game season normally, or I wouldn't even mind if it was like a 140, 150-game season. I wouldn't mind that, but I want there to be a lot of games, because that's how baseball is. But if people really like the 60-game season, which I've been paying even more attention than I usually do this season, partially because we do have the show, but also because, the Giants are a half game out of the playoff spot. So, maybe you could see some change after this year. I'm not sure. Who knows? There's probably a lot of talking heads that could change that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I guess that's our little tangent. Now we're going to get into our specialties. We're going to be yammering on about statistics. We're going first with I got to get the sound bite up. We're doing our Friday, September 4th edition of I think the mic's here because I got headphones. Yeah, it's time for How About That. How many How About That's do you have?
2.
You have 2. Give your first one, and then I'll do mine. Then you can do your last one.
Okay. My first How About That, we were just talking about this team a second ago, is the best hitter in baseball over the last 2 to 3 weeks, and that is Brandon Belt.
Yep.
Brandon Belt, since August 16th, he is slashing 500, 571, 938 for a 1509 OPS. That is in 51 plate appearances. He leads the majors in the entire quadruple slash line. He also leads the majors in WOBA with a 612, weighted runs created plus with a 296, and wins above replacement with a 1.4. His OPS went from 458 on August 15th to 1041 now. And the Giants are 6-10 since that date. Ironically enough, it's actually the third best record in the National League since that date. The only 2 teams above them are the Dodgers and Padres. So it's unfortunately 2 teams in the same division. And one thing I looked at in the changes he made between August 15th and now, launch angle's been a lot different. Between July 23rd and August 15th, he had a total of 44 plate appearances. He had 6 batted balls with a launch angle above 45 degrees. Since August 16th, he has had 51 plate appearances. He only has 1 batted ball above 45 degrees. His launch angle in generally most zones has gotten a lot better. I've tweeted that. You can look at my Twitter at Daniel_Curran if you want to check out some of the visuals for Brandon Belt, because I tweeted them out earlier today. But that is my first How About That.
Yes. So Brandon Belt was also my how about that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't realize that his since August 16th stats were so good. I just looked at his past 9 games, and one thing I will add, because the average and the OPS are very similar. So I'll say in his last 9 games, he has put 22 balls into fair territory, which I would say into play, but a home run is technically not into play. So he's put 22 balls into fair territory, and 20 of them have been hit 90 miles per hour or harder. So he's been absolutely crushing the ball. That's 90% of balls into fair territory being hit 90 miles per hour or harder. So I think you and I hit all the points. So
Yeah.
So hit us with your second. How about that?
My second how about that is someone who we talked about in the preseason, Chris, and we basically said, if this guy isn't going, then this team doesn't look too good. And he's been going, and I've not heard a lot about him. That is Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt is tied for 15th in the majors in position player FWAR, and he has only played 28 games, and everyone else ranked above him in FWAR has played at least 32 games. So he is on a roll in much less time, and he is doing the damn thing for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes, Paul Goldschmidt, big factor. Big factor for the Cardinals. I think, we said if he's not going, the chances of the Cardinals repeating as National League Central champions goes down. So he's going. I think the Cardinals are kind of getting going a little bit.
The Cubs have been kind of sliding a little bit.
Yeah. It's been
the Cardinals are 3.5 games back of the Cubs.
Yeah, 3.5 games back. So, especially with the amount of games that they're playing, a comeback is doable. However, also, there's not really an incentive in winning the division. So as long as they get that second place spot, they are good to go. So even with all those doubleheaders, they're doing all right. Not great, but they're doing all right. So now we go from the highs to the lows. We're going with slightly alarming statistics, highlighting players or teams that have, we had higher expectations for, and they've just been kind of struggling. So I'll start with my slightly alarming statistic. This was actually one of my players to highlight before the season. I like doing these. I like talking about how much someone disappointed me or made me look bad during the season. So I'm looking at Carson Kelly, the catcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So last year, he was very good. Last year, out of 21 catchers with 350-plus plate appearances, he was 5th in OPS. So he was like in the top quarter of catchers offensively. This year, out of 25 catchers with 70-plus plate appearances, he is 23rd in OPS and 24th in weighted runs created plus. Slightly alarming. And, these are it's not really because of bad luck. It's because of just bad, plate discipline and, just general hitting. Everything with Carson Kelly in 2020 has gone negatively. His strikeout percentage has gone up 5.2%, and his walk percentage has gone down 6.2%. Also, his hard hit percentage has gone down 6.4%, and his expected slugging percentage has gone down 189 points, and his expected WOBA has gone down over 100 points. Slightly alarming. So in all facets offensively, Carson Kelly has really disappointed this year, which is tough to see because, he was a big part of that Paul Goldschmidt trade, and he's someone that the Diamondbacks were looking to kind of rely on as a catcher of the future. And if he continues this way, doesn't look like that will happen. He needs to look more like last year.
I'm glad you highlighted Carson Kelly right after I highlighted Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, how about that?
We're geniuses.
Yes.
Because they were traded for each other, of course.
Yes.
And I remember at the beginning of the season, we were making the case that Carson Kelly had a better 2019 than Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, the OPS was better for Carson Kelly. Yes.
The entire Diamondbacks roster is slightly alarming, except for like Zach Gallen and like Ketel Marte, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's just been bad all over.
I mean, what they got? Christian Walker's been okay. Nick Ahmed's been decent. That's our guy. David Peralta's been all right. Other than that, I mean, just disappointment. Like they were supposed to be. I thought they were gonna be a lock for second in that division. Anyway, you're gonna be slightly alarmed by my choice for slightly alarming. I went deep with this one. I did something that we've never done before, and looked at some splits leaderboards. And we need to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or should I say the Buffalo Blue Jays.
Yes.
When they play at Sahlen Field, their new home field for now, of course, this is only their home field for this year. They are 8-5 there. They're pretty good. Also, they're 12-5 since August 17th, which is actually the fourth best winning percentage in the majors. So they're playing really good baseball lately, and they're in a playoff spot. So you might be wondering, why am I highlighting that I'm slightly alarming? Well, let me tell you something, Chris. The first time they played a home game in Buffalo, that was August 11th. Do you want to hear some of their team home road splits since that date and where they ranked in the majors?
Sure.
All right, so since August 11th, the first game they played at Sahlen Field, they have a batting average of 286. That is sixth in the major leagues. They have an OBP of 360. That is fourth in the major leagues. Slugging percentage of 518, fifth in the major leagues. OPS of 878, also fifth in the major leagues. WOBA of 372, once again fifth in the major leagues. And weighted runs created plus of 137, tied for fourth in the major leagues. So, and by the way, these are all home splits. So that is every team's stat at home specifically. So the conclusion that can be drawn is that at home, the Blue Jays are an elite offense in baseball, like top 5 in the league, no doubt, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at their road statistics and see if it correlates any on the road. And this is in comparison, like once again, with other teams' road statistics. They have a batting average of 230, 21st in the major leagues. An OBP of 296, 23rd in the major leagues. Slugging percentage of 416, tied for 18th in the major leagues. OPS of 712, 21st in the major leagues. WOBA of 305, 22nd in the major leagues. Weighted runs created plus of 92, also 22nd in the major leagues. When the Blue Jays leave Buffalo, they are well below average offense. And as I speak, they are getting no hit at Fenway by Martin Perez right now through 6 innings. So that lack of offense is proving itself once again so far tonight at Fenway, especially against, Martin Perez has been pretty good for the Red Sox. So it's not, the typical Red Sox throwing out no one pitching staff. Also, just for what it's worth, they have played 13 home games and 9 away games during this sample. And also, they had a 93 weighted runs created plus at home all of last season. So basically my takeaway from this is, assuming the Blue Jays make the playoffs, how well can we trust their offense when they're not in Buffalo? And how well can we trust them in future years when they never play at Buffalo again?
Yeah, that's very, very, very interesting. Home road splits are always an interesting thing because naturally you do feel more comfortable at home. So there is that factor. However,
this is a huge difference. Like 137 weighted runs created plus versus 92, that is a big difference.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. However, a giant difference like that, alarming, pretty alarming. And I'm wondering like what they were doing at the Rogers Center. It couldn't have been an 878 OPS, or well, they haven't played at the Rogers Center this year, but last year at the Rogers Center, I don't think there was a giant gap there. So I don't know. I don't think Buffalo is like an elevated place. I don't think there's like elevation there really, or if it plays a factor. I don't know what the dimensions are either. They seemed pretty normal, but you never know with minor league fields. So yeah, I mean, pretty interesting stuff going on there.
For sure.
So that's some good stuff. I was not expecting that. Wasn't noticing that. I guess I was a fool not to. So now we get into kind of previewing the weekend of baseball, seeing what's on, MLB at bat, seeing what we like, seeing what we're looking forward to. Because hey, it's the last month of the regular season.
Yeah.
Teams are on the chopping block here, and there are more playoff spots to be had. There's probably a team that kind of seems out of it right now that, hey, might come back and make a run for it. But any particular series of interest for you?
Well, I think I know what you're going to pick, so I'm going to stay away from that. And I'm looking at, believe it or not, I'm looking at Yankees-Orioles because, as we mentioned earlier, like the Yankees are 5 games out of the AL East. They have dug themselves into a hole. And they play the Orioles really well, Chris. And they have a 4-game set, which is pretty much exactly what they need to get back on track. And they have to win at least 3 of them. Like there is no excuse to win 3 or to win less than 3 games this weekend against the Orioles. So there's a doubleheader tomorrow night. The Yankees have not announced any starters, but the Orioles have Alex Cobb and Jorge Lopez going tomorrow. On Saturday, they play a 7:35 game. The Orioles have Keegan Aiken starting for them. He's a lefty. He has a 3.52 ERA, 0-0 record. Okay, that's interesting. And on Sunday, no starters have been announced yet. So that is what I'm looking at for this weekend, because this weekend could ultimately determine the Yankees' fate in the AL East. Because the Rays are playing the Marlins, and the Marlins are, they are in playoff contention, but I think it is a pretty, obvious statement that the Rays are the better team. They almost shut them out through the entirety of last weekend. So yeah, and they're at home too.
So, actually, I'm looking at one game in particular because I mean, when I see the pitching matchup here, this is a pitching matchup that you see, this level of pitching maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And Friday night, Yu Darvish and Jack Flaherty are going to be facing off against each other. So Yu Darvish is probably the hottest pitcher in the National League right now. And going back to July last year, you could say Jack Flaherty has been the best pitcher in baseball. I mean, that's just statistically true. And both, Jack Flaherty, he hasn't slowed down at all. He has a 1.93 ERA currently. And Yu Darvish has been carving up every lineup he's seen for the last 6 starts. So, I mean, if you want to see some swings and misses, you want to see some stuff break off the table, I mean, just watch Friday night. I'm not even going to highlight any series because that night, that matchup deserves an entire segment all on its own.
Yeah. Also, okay, I mean, I think we should just acknowledge Padres A's now that we're here, because I thought you were going to acknowledge.
I was going to go in that direction, but I figured I'd throw a curveball, I guess.
Fair enough. So Padres A's this weekend in Oakland. The A's have not announced any starters, which is understandable because they are still recovering from the positive COVID test that they had on Sunday. Zach Davies is starting on Friday for San Diego. And is that it for any starters that have been announced? Have the Padres announced further?
I think Paddock's pitching
Saturday. And is that fireworks?
Yeah.
There are fireworks going on outside right now. Wow. Okay. And Garrett going Sunday. Any particular reason?
I don't know. They were there like 2 days ago. Remember that?
Was that like a projection or something though? Or was that like real thing? I saw there was
everything as a projection.
Okay. Well, oh well.
No, I'm just...
Well, that's cool. I guess they got fireworks going on outside of our college right now.
That's fantastic. I guess happy Labor Day? I don't know. It's Thursday? I don't know.
We almost have a cure for the vaccine for COVID.
It's a celebration of there only being one positive case at Springfield.
On Springfield. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's our preview of the week. I mean, yeah, you got Padres A's. That's the matchup to look for. Definitely, you have the leader in the American League West versus the best team not named the Dodgers in the National League. That's an exciting matchup. You know, the A's and Padres each have some stars of their own. That's going to be a very good series for sure. So we hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for listening. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and you want to watch us talk, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. It is called STBNL with Chris Gianta and Daniel Curran. If you want to follow us on Twitter, follow me at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel at Daniel_Curran on both Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to follow the show on Instagram, go to our Instagram account. It is called at STBNL Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the midweek edition of the show to be named later. And we look forward to seeing you on Monday when we have recapped the weekend in baseball. See you then.